tendency to act out in violence. So far, technology has advanced so far that video games have become like really realistic, and that you are able to become the first-person shooter in some of the games. My first supporting claim: the exposure that children have on video games affect their attitudes towards violence. As a child, the first thing you get to introduce whatever's in your house. Some people automatically have older brothers and sisters, therefore video games are already in the house, and they just learn what they watch. So parents buy them the video games, and the children just get whatever's famous around them, like whatever they're talking about with their friends. The second supporting claim is that game socialization are influenced by widely practicing. By having a child like play the video game every day causes a repetitive learning ability, and they are able to learn whatever they see on the TV screen or the technology thing. It's been shown that studies have proven that repeating something, the mind is able to recreate that image without even seeing it. That the child could see the world, the virtual world, in reality, and forget that it's reality, that they just see this world, and confuse both of them. Some people have the mental capacity of not being able to distinguishing both reality and the virtual world. Therefore, it causes a problem, and therefore they would act towards that. They would do stuff that they would normally see in the virtual world. Some people are not built to be able to think that video games are just a psychic relief, and confuse both worlds. A journalist, Brandon Crim, said that back then they used to have this problem with comic books, but comic books are not that effective now because of the difference between the video games and the comic books. Comic books are just like pictures and words, and the video games you're actually shooting in the virtual world. You're actually shooting stuff, and you're actually getting a physical. You're actually doing stuff, hands-on. Brad Bershman, a psychologist at Ohio State University, who is one of the most known proponents of the idea that first-person shooters influence the real world, says that they had comprehensive review of every experimental study, reviewing 381 effects from studies involving 100,000 people, and resulting that playing violent video games increases aggression thoughts, feelings, and psychological arousals. This has affected this has shown that video games have effect on people, and this is why violent video games affect the human mind. and to academic violence.
All right, Beatriz, your claim's clearly stated, but there's not really a preview of what the structure is going to be. You do label the secondary points as you get to them. They're a little bit more distinct, but they're not always declared as sentences, so you need to make sure that you are doing that sort of thing also. Not until the very end of the speech do we start getting some research being presented in the argument. Most of the first speech we get claims, some people might be affected this way, or studies say this, or there's no data on this particular point. At the end you got a quote from a journalist that ends up turning out to be a paraphrase rather than an actual quote, talking about the difference between comic books and the video games. And I'm not sure how in the long run that's going to be important to the argument that you're making, and you get a little tied up with that. I think it would also be much easier for you if it is a quote to just directly quote it instead of trying to paraphrase it. The one piece of evidence that is specifically cited is Brushman from Ohio State University, who basically gives us a summary of the research in the particular field, and you need a lot more information like that, especially on that third point where you're talking about what the long-term impact of this is going to be. Otherwise, it's mostly just kind of casual visualizations of what might be going on, and you're reaching conclusions on those points without offering any proof on those particular points. On your presentation, you need to look at the audience more. I think you needed to practice a little bit more because you sound uncertain. And like I said, a structure with a set of claims will give you a greater sense of confidence, and here's where I'm going with this argument, than just kind of relying on summarizing what you think the issues are. This is a problem when people look at information and they're trying to make an argument out of information that they don't always understand or are not conceptualizing as an argument that they want to make. They're just, here's an argument that I found someplace and I'm going to share this argument. I'm not saying that it's plagiarism, but what I am saying is that you need to understand what the argument is on this subject and how this argument is being supported. And I don't get enough sense that this is something that you've made sense of. It's really more like a summary of what you've encountered on the subject. All right, thank you.